I actually reported out here visiting the settlements back when I was at Vox. I did a series talking to the settlers, trying to understand why they live out there, what it's like to live in these settlements that are strangely peaceful and banal and just mundane. People living their lives because they're protected by the army. If you want a deeper dive on settlements, you can go watch that series. But if you're Netanyahu over the last 16 years, you think your plan is working. Like, you see all these settlements going up. The international community can't do anything about it. They keep supporting you. Every once in a while, there's some flare-up in the West Bank where Palestinians get into a fight with Israeli soldiers, but it gets contained. Every few years, Hamas fires some rockets, which then gives Israel the excuse to go, as they put it, cut the grass by conducting a short, swift, violent military campaign to keep Hamas at bay. And every day that goes by, the notion of a Palestinian state becomes less and less feasible. This is one reason why a far-right Israeli lawmaker called Hamas an asset. So divide and conquer has been the name of the game in Israel for a long time, but especially in the last 16 years under Netanyahu. And again, to the people in charge, they think it's working. Maybe this violent status quo, this equilibrium can hold, and the far right can get exactly what they want. Security for the Jewish people and expansion into all of this land. And maybe the occupation will break the Palestinian spirit, and they would give up on their dream of having a state. But that's not what happened. On October 7th, 2023, we saw how wrong-headed this theory of security was.
In an unprecedented surprise attack, the militant Hamas rulers of Gaza sent dozens of fighters into Israel by land, sea, and air.
This deadly attack launched by Hamas showed us that while Netanyahu's strategy of divide and conquer might be good for taking over more land, what it's not good for is making good on the original promise of Israel, which is ensuring the security of the Jewish people. In fact, his strategy has produced exactly the opposite. Now, the responsibility for what happened on October 7th lies with the people who committed those acts of terror, Hamas fighters and their leaders. There is no excuse or justification for their actions. But the point I'm trying to make with this video is that there's also others that need to stand accountable here. Those who used Hamas as a pawn to continue this divide and conquer policy, who are now engaged in a campaign of mass bloodshed on civilians. They deserve to stand accountable as well, to the Israeli people and to the countries that support Israel. I believe in the need for a Jewish state. I do. I think that's a very reasonable proposal, that Jewish people should feel safe somewhere in this world. And yet, what we're looking at isn't it. The Israeli project, the way that it's been wielded in its current form, produces the exact opposite of security for the Jewish people. Look at this map. This map shows the thousands of attacks that have occurred right here on this border, just over the past year, in this fight between Israel and one of their biggest regional enemies, Hezbollah. Hezbollah is one of the biggest armed groups in the world that isn't a nation's military. They have tens of thousands of trained soldiers and hundreds of thousands of missiles and rockets capable of reaching targets all across Israel. This threat led Israel to conduct a massive set of attacks against Hezbollah.
This large explosion was seen near Beirut's international airport,
in which they killed almost all of the group's top leaders, weakening Hezbollah immensely, followed by a full-on invasion by Israeli troops to denigrate this group even further. This has been a massive escalation that is now spilling over into this entire region. And to understand how we got here, you really have to understand where Hezbollah came from, and what this group's fierce 40-year struggle tells us about how the modern Middle East came together, and how it's now coming apart.